What if the biggest sign an avoidant truly loves you isn't saying, "I love you" at all? It's something far rarer, something most people completely overlook today. You'll discover 6 behaviors that reveal when an avoidant is making one of the hardest emotional choices of their life. If you ever see these signs, think twice before letting that person walk away. Many people believe avoidants never care, that they're emotionally cold, that they always run from love. But relationship psychology paints a much more balanced picture. Avoidant attachment isn't about lacking feelings. It's often about protecting themselves from emotional overwhelm. When an avoidant begins doing certain things consistently, they're showing trust in ways that are easy to miss. And missing those signs can cost someone a deeply meaningful relationship. So stay until the end, because the final sign is the one many healthy long-term relationships are built upon. Many people assume that avoidant individuals disappear because they simply do not care. In reality, relationship psychology suggests that this behavior is often connected to how they manage emotional stress rather than a lack of feelings. Someone with avoidant tendencies may feel overwhelmed during emotionally intense situations and instinctively pull away to regain a sense of control. That is why one of the strongest signs of emotional growth is when they choose honest communication instead of disappearing. This small shift may not seem dramatic, but it reflects a major change in emotional intelligence. Rather than leaving the other person confused, they make an effort to explain what they are feeling, what they need, or why they require a little space. This kind of openness reduces misunderstanding and creates emotional safety for both people. Imagine a couple having an argument after a stressful week. In the past, the avoidant partner might have ignored calls, stopped replying to messages, or disappeared for several days. The other person would likely feel anxious, rejected, and unsure about the future of the relationship. Now imagine the same situation after the avoidant partner has developed better emotional awareness. Instead of disappearing, they send a simple message such as, "I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. I need some time to think, but I don't want you to believe I'm leaving. Let's talk tomorrow." Those few honest words completely change the emotional experience. The conflict still exists, but uncertainty is replaced with clarity, allowing trust to grow instead of fear. This behavior also shows respect for the other person's emotions. Emotional intelligence is not about never feeling stressed or needing distance. It is about recognizing how your actions affect someone else and communicating in a way that protects the relationship. Choosing honesty over silence requires courage because it means facing uncomfortable emotions rather than escaping them. For someone with avoidant patterns, this is often a significant step forward in personal growth. Healthy relationships are not built on perfection. They are built on consistent efforts to understand each other, especially during difficult moments. When an avoidant person repeatedly replaces silence with clear, respectful communication, they are demonstrating trust, accountability, and a willingness to build a secure connection. That quiet but meaningful change is one of the clearest signs that they are investing emotionally in the relationship and choosing connection over self-protection. One of the most meaningful changes an avoidant person can make is allowing someone to see their emotional side. People often mistake avoidance for being emotionally empty or uncaring, but relationship psychology suggests that this is usually not the case. Many avoidant individuals experience emotions just as deeply as anyone else. The difference is that they have learned to protect themselves by keeping those feelings hidden. They may worry that expressing vulnerability will lead to rejection, disappointment, or a loss of independence. Because of this, they often appear calm, distant, or unaffected on the outside, even when they are struggling internally. When they begin sharing their real emotions with someone, it is often a sign that trust is growing and emotional walls are slowly coming down. For an avoidant person, opening up is rarely dramatic. Instead of making long emotional speeches, they may start by sharing small pieces of their inner world. They might admit that they had a difficult day at work, talk about a childhood experience that shaped them, or quietly say they felt hurt by something instead of pretending everything was fine. These moments may seem ordinary, but for someone who usually keeps emotions private, they represent a significant step toward emotional connection. It shows they no longer feel they have to carry every burden alone. Imagine someone who normally changes the subject whenever conversations become personal. Over time, they begin saying things like, "I was nervous before that meeting," or "I didn't know how to handle what happened with my family." They are not looking for someone to solve their problems. They are allowing another person to understand their emotional experience. This creates a stronger sense of closeness because genuine relationships grow through mutual understanding rather than perfect appearances. Emotional intelligence involves recognizing emotions, expressing them in healthy ways, and allowing trusted people to offer support. When an avoidant person starts sharing their feelings instead of hiding them, they are practicing all three of these skills. They are learning that vulnerability is not the same as weakness, and that healthy relationships can handle honest emotions without falling apart. This openness also encourages healthier communication. When both people feel safe expressing their thoughts and emotions, misunderstandings become less frequent, and trust becomes stronger. Instead of guessing what the other person is feeling, they begin to understand each other more clearly. For an avoidant individual, letting someone see their emotional side is not just about talking more, it is about choosing connection over protection, trust over fear, and authenticity over emotional distance. One of the clearest signs of emotional maturity in an avoidant person is when they remain consistent, even while needing personal space. Many people misunderstand the avoidant need for distance and assume it automatically means they are losing interest or preparing to leave the relationship. Relationship psychology suggests something more balanced. Wanting time alone is not unhealthy by itself. Everyone has different ways of managing stress, emotions, and mental energy. The real difference lies in how that space is handled. An emotionally aware avoidant person learns that needing solitude does not require shutting the other person out completely. Instead, they create space while still protecting the sense of connection. In the past, an avoidant person might suddenly stop responding to messages, cancel plans without explanation, or disappear for several days whenever life became emotionally overwhelming. Their partner would often be left wondering what went wrong, creating unnecessary anxiety and confusion. As emotional intelligence grows, their approach begins to change. Instead of disappearing, they communicate clearly by saying something like, "I've had a stressful week and need some quiet time today, but I'd still like to see you this weekend." Or, "I'm feeling mentally drained right now. I just need a little time to recharge, and then we can talk." These simple statements provide reassurance while also respecting their own emotional needs. Imagine a couple where one partner values frequent communication, while the avoidant partner naturally needs more personal space. Without honest communication, both people may feel misunderstood. One feels abandoned, while the other feels emotionally pressured. However, when the avoidant partner consistently explains their need for temporary distance and follows through on reconnecting afterward, trust begins to replace uncertainty. The partner no longer has to guess whether the relationship is in danger, because the avoidant person's actions remain reliable over time. Consistency is one of the strongest foundations of emotional security. It is not about constant attention or endless conversations. It is about showing that care continues even during stressful moments. A quick message, a promised phone call, or returning after taking time alone demonstrates that the relationship still matters. These repeated actions create confidence because they match words with behavior. Emotional intelligence teaches that healthy relationships require balancing personal needs with consideration for another person's feelings. An avoidant person who learns this balance is no longer using distance as an escape from emotional responsibility. Instead, they are using it as a healthy form of self-regulation while maintaining trust and respect. Choosing consistency alongside personal space shows that independence and emotional connection can exist together, allowing both people to feel secure without sacrificing their individuality. If you're finding these insights helpful, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We explore relationship psychology, emotional intelligence, attachment styles, and human behavior with simple educational explanations to help you build healthier connections. Also, tell me in the comments which of these 6 signs surprised you the most. Your thoughts might help someone else understand their relationships better. Now, let's continue with the next powerful sign: respecting another person's feelings without interpreting every emotional conversation as control. is one of the strongest signs of growth in someone with avoidant tendencies. People with avoidant attachment patterns often value independence very deeply. Because of past experiences or learned coping strategies, they may become uncomfortable when emotions feel intense or when a partner asks for reassurance. Instead of seeing these moments as opportunities for understanding, they might mistakenly view them as pressure, criticism, or an attempt to limit their freedom. As emotional intelligence develops, however, they begin to recognize an important difference. Healthy emotional needs are not the same as emotional control. This realization allows relationships to become more balanced, respectful, and emotionally secure. Imagine a situation where one partner says, "I felt hurt when we didn't talk after our disagreement." An avoidant person who has not developed emotional awareness might immediately become defensive, thinking they are being blamed or that their independence is under attack. They may shut down, change the subject, or withdraw completely. But someone who has grown emotionally responds differently. Instead of reacting to the words alone, they try to understand the emotion behind them. They might say, "I understand why you felt that way. I wasn't trying to ignore you. I just needed time to calm down." This response does not mean they agree with everything being said, but it shows they respect the other person's emotional experience. This ability creates emotional safety. When people feel that their feelings can be expressed without causing distance or conflict, they become more open and honest. Small misunderstandings are resolved more quickly because both individuals focus on understanding instead of defending themselves. Respecting feelings also means listening without immediately trying to win an argument or prove someone wrong. Sometimes people simply want to know that their emotions have been heard and acknowledged. Emotional intelligence encourages empathy, self-awareness, and thoughtful communication. An avoidant person who practices these skills begins to understand that acknowledging another person's emotions does not mean giving up personal boundaries. They can still maintain their independence while showing kindness, patience, and consideration. Healthy relationships are strongest when both people feel free to express themselves without fear of being dismissed or misunderstood. Over time, this respectful approach changes the entire dynamic of the relationship. Conversations become calmer, trust grows through repeated positive experiences, and conflicts become opportunities for learning rather than reasons to withdraw. When an avoidant person consistently values another person's emotions while maintaining healthy boundaries, they demonstrate genuine emotional maturity and a sincere commitment to building a relationship based on mutual respect, understanding, and lasting emotional security. One of the strongest indicators that an avoidant person is becoming deeply invested in a relationship is when they begin including you in their future decisions. People with avoidant attachment tendencies often prefer handling life on their own. They may make important plans independently because relying on others can feel unfamiliar or emotionally risky. This habit is not always a sign that they do not care. In many cases, it reflects a long-standing belief that depending on someone could lead to disappointment or loss of personal freedom. As emotional trust grows, however, this pattern slowly begins to change. They no longer think only in terms of me. They gradually begin thinking in terms of us. This shift often appears in small everyday situations before it becomes visible in major life choices. For example, instead of planning a vacation alone, they ask, "Would you like to come with me?" When considering a new job, they may ask how the decision could affect both of you. They might discuss weekend plans, financial goals, family events, or even where they hope to live in the future. These conversations may seem ordinary, but they reveal something important. They are inviting another person into the process of shaping their life, something that can feel challenging for someone who has spent years protecting their independence. Imagine an avoidant partner who once made every decision without mentioning it until the last moment. One day, they receive an exciting work opportunity in another city. Instead of simply announcing the decision after everything is finalized, they say, "I want to hear what you think before I decide because your opinion matters to me." This does not mean they have become dependent or lost their independence. It means they recognize that healthy relationships involve shared consideration and mutual respect. They understand that important decisions affect both people, not just themselves. Emotional intelligence encourages people to balance personal goals with empathy and awareness of others. Including someone in future decisions shows that an avoidant person is developing these skills. They are learning that cooperation does not weaken independence. Instead, it strengthens trust because both individuals feel valued and respected. Listening to another person's perspective also leads to better communication, fewer misunderstandings, and stronger emotional connection. Over time, these shared decisions create a sense of partnership. Instead of walking through life as two separate individuals who occasionally spend time together, the relationship begins to feel like a team working toward common goals. When an avoidant person consistently includes you in their future plans, they are demonstrating that you have become an important part of the life they are intentionally building, showing commitment through thoughtful actions rather than only through words. One of the most meaningful signs of emotional growth in an avoidant person is when they choose to repair conflicts instead of avoiding them. Conflict is a natural part of every close relationship. Two people with different personalities, experiences, and expectations will occasionally misunderstand each other. The difference between healthy and unhealthy relationships is not the absence of disagreement, but the willingness to work through it together. People with avoidant attachment tendencies often find conflict emotionally overwhelming. Rather than discussing difficult feelings, they may withdraw, become silent, or create emotional distance because they believe stepping away is the safest way to reduce stress. As emotional intelligence develops, however, they begin to understand that avoiding problems rarely makes them disappear. In fact, unresolved issues often grow larger over time. Imagine a couple who has an argument after one partner forgets an important occasion. In the past, the avoidant partner might have stopped answering messages or acted as if nothing had happened, hoping the tension would simply fade away. Although silence may temporarily reduce discomfort for them, it usually increases confusion and hurt for the other person. As they become more emotionally aware, their response begins to change. Instead of disappearing, they return to the conversation and say something like, "I know you're upset, and I'd like to understand how my actions affected you." They listen without immediately becoming defensive and take responsibility for the part they played in the misunderstanding. This willingness to reconnect after conflict is a powerful sign of emotional maturity. Repairing conflict does not mean every disagreement ends perfectly or that both people always agree. It means both individuals value the relationship enough to keep communicating, searching for solutions instead of trying to escape uncomfortable emotions. Sometimes repairing a conflict is as simple as offering a sincere apology, asking thoughtful questions, or checking in later to make sure the other person feels heard. These small actions communicate care, accountability, and respect far more effectively than avoiding the issue. Emotional intelligence encourages self-awareness, empathy, and constructive communication. An avoidant person who practices these skills learns that difficult conversations are not necessarily threats to independence. Instead, they become opportunities to strengthen trust and deepen understanding. Every repaired conflict teaches both partners that the relationship can survive moments of tension without falling apart. Over time, this pattern creates emotional security because both people know that disagreements will not automatically lead to distance or abandonment. They develop confidence that challenges can be faced together with patience, honesty, and mutual respect. When an avoidant person consistently returns after conflict to understand, apologize when necessary, and rebuild connection, they demonstrate a genuine commitment to the relationship through steady actions that create lasting trust and emotional resilience. If this video helped you understand avoidant behavior in a new way, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our future videos on relationship psychology, emotional intelligence, attachment styles, and human behavior. Remember, the strongest relationships aren't built on perfect people. They're built on understanding, trust, and consistent emotional growth. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.